And things never change. So
No, but where do they put the police when they bring them in? They does not put the police within the communities. There was a time when you walk on the street and you see police walking, patrolling and all this. You don't see it no more. Either on bike or radio cars.
Nika Lewis, CVM News.
And in neighbouring Trelawney, police were alerted to the scene of a body in Hague settlement of the parish. The body has been identified as that of 37-year-old Dwayne Brown, also called Skeeto, of a Martha Bray, Falmouth address. Reports are that about 2:15 a.m. on Wednesday, a female resident alleged she heard a knock on her window, followed by several explosions. Around 6 a.m., the unidentified female said she was alerted by residents of a body at her back door. Investigations are continuing.
And the police in Spanish Town are now investigating the circumstances under which a young man appeared to have drowned. And importantly, they need the public's help in identifying him. Persons gathered Wednesday morning in the vicinity of the Spanish Town Bridge, where a body was seen floating in the murky waters of the Rio Cobre. It was sometime after 9 and the overnight rainfall was tapering off. In order to access the Spanish Town location, which is not far from the Spanish Town Hospital, our correspondent walked through a section of the Thompson Pen community. Undertakers from the government's contracted funeral home were early on the scene, as were investigators from the St. Catherine North Police. CVM News was told the body was fished from the water by members of the fire brigade. Unfortunately, none at the location could identify the individual. And the communication arm of the JCF could only say the body was clad in a yellow striped T-shirt, black pants, green underpants, and an orange and white sneakers. Speculations are the man was in his 20s. By evening time, the police were saying initial investigation was pointing to a suspected case of drowning. If the information matches anyone you know who is unaccounted for, kindly contact
the businessman acted within his constitutional rights by not producing his firearm when asked to do so. This, although investigators offered to assist him while he was in custody. Brian Walker was in court.
Corporate Area Parish Judge Vaughn Smith made it clear Wednesday morning that businessman Patrick Powell, who is charged with failing to hand over his firearm and ammunition for inspection, has a case to answer. Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Yannick Gardner-Brown emphasized that then Deputy Superintendent of Police Clive Walker waited 9 days before charging Powell on July 20, 2011. Defense attorney Deborah Martin said Powell was exercising his constitutional right to consult his attorney, to remain silent, and not to incriminate himself. But Gardner-Brown shot back, saying it would be absurd if every licensed firearm holder used their right to counsel and to remain silent as a defense when they refused to hand over their firearm for inspection. She continued that if Powell desired to hand over the firearm, he would have done so, and it was his duty under the Firearms Act. Martin is expected to speak to the investigating officer in the Kajil Mays murder case, Frank Buchanan. That conversation will guide how she proceeds in relation to witnesses when the trial continues on Thursday. I'm Brian Walker for CVM News.
Boosting the fleet of the Jamaica Fire Brigade was the priority of local government Minister Desmond McKenzie at a recent signing ceremony. CVM's Joel Crosskill tells us more.
Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says that slowly but surely, the administration is meeting the needs of Jamaica's first responders. The comments came at a signing ceremony that will see 2 new fire trucks delivered to the island by September of this year.
The purchase of these 2 new trucks to the fleet of the fire service comes at a cost of over $1 million.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade is currently laboring in a situation where 82% of its fleet of vehicles are over 10 years old and subject to frequent breakdowns, making emergency response uncertain. A situation they say they have seen distinct steps to correct by the current administration.
It is another demonstration
of the resolve of the government to increase the response capability of the service so that we can be more efficient and more effective whenever we are called for assistance.
Minister Mackenzie said that he will also be making a submission to Cabinet to fund additional equipment required by the fire brigade. Greater attention will also be paid to the general working conditions at fire stations across the island.
Earlier this year, I did indicate and made some announcements that we'll be spending some money to upgrade a number of fire stations across the country, building a perimeter fence in Negril, doing some remedial work in Buff Bay and in Port Antonio, and we will be turning our attention to the Black River fire station in a couple of weeks.
Joel Croskill, CVM News.
Meanwhile, garbage collection is expected to improve with the recent acquisition of 4 compactor garbage trucks by the government, which were handed over to the waste authorities yesterday.
4 new trucks will bring the total to 13.
Yes, so far.
And by the end of the month of July, you would have had the full complement of the first round of garbage trucks. An additional 11 trucks will come into the system by the end of September. And as I promised the last time, we'll be providing an additional $250 million more to purchase new trucks. So by next year, the National Solid Waste Management Authority will be well on its way with new trucks to provide proper service to the people of the country.
The local government minister acknowledged challenges affecting the current garbage collection service across the country, but sought to assure improvement in all areas in due time.
There are a number of messages that have come in on my phone. People complaining about garbage not being collected. I want to assure the country that we are working hard. We are doing everything that is possible to collect the garbage. We can only ask the citizens to just continue to be a little bit more patient, because eventually we are going to get there.
The leadership of the Kingston and St Andrew Municipal Corporation is adamant Jamaica's capital is poised for a major transformation. The mayor is also insisting the solutions will have to be long-lasting.
We are not in fix today and back to what it was tomorrow.
Instead, Mayor Delroy Williams says the solutions to transforming downtown Kingston are comprehensive, lasting, practical, and doable.
The entire section of Parade, from Orange Street to Church Street, demands attention. That entire section can easily be transformed into a place of beauty and recreation for our people, for the people of Kingston and St Andrew. It cannot remain what it is now.
In addition to critical meetings with the NWA and the police, he says there is one ministry that must be on board.
We are saying clearly that the JUTC buses must function within the structure of order. Their movement within and out of the city must be structured, and they must function within the structure of order. They cannot be all over the place.
He points to another group of security personnel who will be very relevant to the process of maintaining order in the city.
We need our municipal police to be a constant figure in some strategic locations if we are going to maintain order in those locations.
As for Halfway Tree,
we are going to go there this week to observe it in real now, a first-hand view of it, and then back to the maps in terms of laying out our plan to order halfway tree. We are asking the people of Kingston and St. Andrew to just bear a little more with us.
News overseas now: a massive fire in a West London tower has left over a dozen persons dead and the expectation of more. Firefighters rescued 65 persons from the tower in a picture of grief. More from the BBC. And now a reminder of our top news story: murders across St. James, Trelawney and St. Catherine rock the nation yet again.
And just ahead of the break, response is to or say what question: do you think the laws against reporting child pornography are effective?
We should be protecting our children, not scandalizing them. So yes, I think they should be.